Hey, today we're going to talk about 3 things that you can actively do to increase your influence right now on the front.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Front. My name is Mike Phillips, and I will be your host. As always, please check out leadtheteam.tv. That's the YouTube channel, and I would appreciate if you'd subscribe there. Also, you can check out and subscribe to the audio podcasts on Google Play, on iHeartRadio, and on iTunes. And then every week I ask, please participate in the comments down below, have questions, ask them, share opinions, and let's get engaged in a conversation because often that leads to a really excellent future show. So today I am talking about 3 key things that you can do actively right now. You take action on these and they will increase your influence. They'll increase your opportunity to lead. And so I'm going to jump right into it. Number 1, you have to know yourself and your team. You have to know people. You have to play to your strengths, right? We all know what our strengths are, the stuff that we love to do and the things that we're good at. And sometimes your people may need a little bit of help defining their strengths. And so you have to help to accentuate those, coach them out of them, but then you want to continue to, once you have coached them out of them, both you and your team, everybody's going to have different strengths. On the flip side, everybody's going to have different weaknesses. So you want to make sure that you're actively playing to yourself and your team's strengths. And then in turn, you want to make sure that you're still coaching and growing people's weaknesses because you don't want those to become a liability in business. So just because somebody's not good at something, you can teach skill set. There are some people that are automatically talented at certain things. And so they may have a natural aptitude for something, like sales, for example. You have people that just are naturally gifted and are good salespeople. That doesn't mean someone that's not naturally a good salesperson can't become a good salesperson. It just takes more work. And so you have to be able to coach that and know as you spend time and develop your people and develop your team, you have to know what their strengths are, but do continue to coach and groom their weaknesses to at least move them up levels, to hopefully an average level, because the more you're growing people, the more that they'll want to be around you, the more that they'll feel like they're accomplishing something with you. If you're trying to pull other things out of them other than just, well, hey, I'm already excellent at that, or I'm already talented at that, and you're spending time to improve them in other areas. The thing is, if you do that, it helps to steer people towards that goal, towards the vision. It's a lot more likely if you're hammering away on everybody's strengths and you're improving on what weaknesses are and so forth, you're a lot more likely to hit the goal in the long run. The second thing that you want to do is be an authentic, positive influence on your people. On something like this, you can't fake it until you make it. You have to be genuine. You have to You just have to ooze that positivity, so to speak, right? Leadership is influence. And so the thing is, it's not a management title. People so often assume, well, I made it to be a manager, so now I have leadership. And I've said many times before, it's not that way. Leadership is influence. So it can come from many levels of an organization. People at the middle of an organization can have influence. That's one of the big things is you can have leadership at all kinds of different facets, all kinds of different levels in your organization. It's not just somebody that has the manager on their business card. So here's the deal. Since leadership is influence, and influence can come from any level of the organization, when you're authentic and you're positive and the people around you are authentic and they're positive, then you're a lot more likely to, happy people accomplish more. And so you want to make sure that you're that point of light for people. You want to make sure that they can depend on you, because they'll know if you're having a bad day. There's a saying, I think it's Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, "Who you are speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you're saying." And so that's all about actions and character and influence. Who you are, who you, what you personify, what you are, speaks so loudly that it is more relevant and more powerful than the words, right? Lots of people can speak and say rhetoric. Lots of people can say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this," but people know if it's BS. So just be that authentic, positive, powerful leader. The third thing, number 3, is active listening. And this is something I've had to learn, right? It can be hard. Active listening, and I've learned over time, keep in mind, key factors in leadership: listening, empowering, and inspiring other people. Those are keys. And when you listen and you spend time to learn active listening, one of the keys to active listening is when you're asking your people a question, or you're asking anybody a question, a customer, a spouse, a family member. So often people are listening to respond or rebut. They're not listening to understand. You have to listen to understand the content that the other person is presenting to you. If you're listening to respond, because the process of thinking is asking and answering questions, if you're listening to respond, as soon as somebody shares an idea and you start listening to it and you start saying, "Well, do I agree with that? Is that something that I think is accurate?" And you're having that conversation with yourself, you're listening to respond instead of understand where that person is. And if you're listening to yourself answering those questions, you can't truly be listening to the person that is presenting in front of you, that's initiating the conversation, that's sharing the information. So you want to make sure that when you're listening, and if you're listening to understand, you listen to learn from them, to grow, to make them be a valuable part of the team, right? If you listen to understand, you're likely to get more value out of the conversation. In turn, you can apply those ideas better, and they'll get more value out of sharing the information. They'll find more value in it. So here's the deal. In closing, leaders have clarity of purpose. They communicate well to get their ideas across, right? They're able to articulate the ideas. They're able to when you're articulating it, when you're communicating with people, it's in such a way that people can embrace it and understand it. Leaders have confidence in these areas, not arrogance, but they're confident in the way that they're presenting it. They're confident in the way that they're listening to their people. They're confident in the way that they're learning their people in one-on-one sessions, in group meetings, in team meetings. They have a confidence because they've taken the time to listen to people. I'll leave you on this. Once you know these things, once you know your people, once you're able to listen to them, when you're that authentic, positive inspiration, when you're carrying yourself from your heart, and you're an authentic, positive person, leaders have courage. That's one of those big things. And I mean, they have courage to jump into the unknown sometimes. Courage is a tough thing. And the leaders that have character and courage and confidence, they are able to, because they've taken the time to get to know their team, groom their team, created the influence with some of these things that I'm talking about, then they can jump into the unknown. They can jump into the dark because they can be the light for their people, and their people will follow because they have that influence. So going back through my 3 keys today that you can actively do to create influence with your people. Number 1, know yourself and know your team. Number 2, be an authentic and genuine positive influence with people. And number 3, get good at active listening. Listen to understand, not to respond. So thank you so much for spending the time with me today on another episode of The Front. Make sure and check back every Wednesday and Sunday. I've got a new episode. I talk a lot about leadership, motivation, positivity, sales training. It's the full gamut. Lots of stuff that is applicable to business, especially the automotive business. So please tune back in, check it out again. Thank you for spending the time with me today. And until I see you next, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day.